Josh O'Connell, how are you doing today?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me back.
Always pleasure talking to you. You're very knowledgeable when it comes to slot machines, and I don't play slot machines very often, so it's always nice to have a change of pace from somebody that knows what they're talking about a very popular subject here. If you guys aren't familiar with Josh, he runs the website knowyourslots.com. And today we're going to be talking about, we've done a series with him in the past about good slots for like middle of the road players, like $1 to $2 a bet players. Today we're going to be doing a little bit less than that because we've had a few people in the comments on those videos asking about, well, what if I bet less than a dollar? So that's what we're going to be talking about today is good slot machines for very low limit players. So less than $1 a spin.
And the good news is I've been there. I'm definitely been one of those players in the past. So I hear everybody who is looking for something a little bit lower, and all the recommendations here I see all the time on casino floor. So these will be games you can find pretty easily.
All right. And as I said, I'm not super familiar with the slot machines by name, at least. So I'm just going to sort of give you free reign here. The first one we're going to talk about is triple double diamond free games.
Absolutely. So this is an example of a game that sort of extends sort of a popular series. So we've talked in the past about games like Double Diamond, which are three mechanical real slots. Triple Double Diamond free games is definitely a penny player type of game where there's a free games element, which is not always necessarily the case on a three reel machine. But it's also a 20 line game. So it's definitely less volatile than your standard like single line mechanical real slots. The best part is on when you find the older versions of these machines, you can usually find them as low as 20 cents a spin. So we're talking about low bets. This is about as low as you're going to get the full lines available. But the game has also been remade more recently on their newer machinery, many times at a 40-cent starting bet. So it's like a 2x line bet minimum. But even at that point, that's still a really accessible bet. And because it's got double and triple multipliers in there, you can still get some pretty decent line hits even at those lower bets. And especially when you get to the free spins and it doubles those wins, you get even more potential there. So it's a great game for those who like this bet a little bit less. Because you have 20 lines available to you. It's not an overly volatile game, but it does have a lot of action. So that's definitely a great start.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you find the newer version at 40 cents a bet, I mean, you put $40 in, that's still like you could lose 100 spins in a row, and still before you run out of your money, and you're never going to lose 100 spins in a row. So even 20 or $40 would give you a lot of play time there. So that sounds pretty great.
Yeah, and one of my local casinos actually has it at nickel, so it's $1 a spin, and I had a $250 line hit the last time I played it. So even on smaller bets, you can get some pretty sizable wins.
That's awesome. Now the next one, this one I haven't played this in years, is the original goldfish machine. I always like that bonus with the little goldfish and he blows out the bubbles.
Absolutely, yeah, and the thing about the original goldfish is, although those old machines are disappearing from casinos, Scientific Games, or Light and Wonder as they're known now, they re-released it as a game that's now available on some of their newer machines. So you can find it in casinos again. I've seen it pop back up at my local casinos again, and so the game is still easy to find. And that one, the line count can depend. So you can see 20 lines, 25 lines. And then there's a feature bet. So you have that goldfish bet that adds a few credits that give you access to all those constant features. And even the newer version I saw as low as 30 cents a spin at my home casino. So that's a really accessible bet for what you're getting. The thing is, you said lots of action. You got the five fish that come out. You have the free games bonus with the multiplier. Lots of different things that can happen, but it really keeps the energy going. So for those who like an active game that constantly gives them something to enjoy, that's a really good option. And again, at the 30-cent bet, it's a really easy one to enjoy.
Yeah, and I forget, but I think that's those are just the mystery multipliers, right? Like with the fish, they just come out randomly. You don't have to hit the symbols for it, I think, right?
Right. So the goldfish bonus, the five fish sort of sit on the
Hmm.
upper screen and they can come out on any spin randomly.
Hmm.
And they have different feature systems. So some can be winning credit prizes, some can be free games, etc. And so you have the different sort of bonuses. So the features also vary, which keeps the game sort of interesting. You don't have the same things happening over and over.
And now one thing I sort of thought of here that I want to throw in, that's one thing we've talked about in all the videos when you've been on here, is generally a recurring theme is the newer the slot machine, the higher the minimum bet. So a good rule of
Yes.
thumb for players looking to spend under $1 a spin is the older slot machine you can find, generally the less you're going to bet on it. So that's probably a good rule of thumb, is just look for the older the slot machine, the easier it's going to be to bet less.
Well, the older slot machines have a couple other things sometimes that help there too. One is that they might let you choose how many lines you're playing. In the last video, we talked about Stinkin' Rich in Bombay, where you have 100 lines, so that's $1 a spin on a penny machine. But when you have those older machines, they more often let you control how many lines. I've seen them set up on newer machines where you can't control it, so you're forced into 100 lines. So sometimes those older machines are just more friendly to players because they give you more control over exactly how much you're betting.
But one thing you should watch out for there is you don't want to bet too few lines, because some of those older machines as well, you need to bet at least one coin on every line to be eligible for some of the bonus features. So that's one thing you're going to want to do, is make sure you're at least betting enough to be eligible for the bonus features, because if you don't get that bonus feature, you're not going to be getting the full payback of the game.
Exactly. Yeah. Obviously, you don't want to price yourself too low and then basically shortchange yourself.
Now, the next one is high voltage blackout. I believe I've seen one of the casinos down by us has this. I believe they only have it in a quarter denomination, though, so it might be a little bit. That's a bit higher than probably what we're going to be talking about right now. But
right, yeah. I've seen this game in a lot of different places. This game is made by Every, and I've even seen it on cruise ships. So that I've played it quite a bit on cruise ships. And this one's another 30 set minimum bet. This is not. This includes access to the free spins, and they have a respin feature where basically every spin wins more or the same minimum as the previous spin, and you can respin multiple times on a single wager.
Yeah, that's the one where the reel starts shaking, right? And it yells like,
yeah, in this case, yeah, exactly. So in this case, they I believe this particular version, they just sort of have like a lightning look to them. But yeah, same idea, that you see it kind of start spinning in weird directions and the pace start to increase. The respin feature is pretty common on slots, especially real slots, but this is a video slot. So that's one thing that's nice about it. And it's a picking bonus where you have the potential to really get up there if you happen to find enough of the building. So it's like the idea is it's the city blackout and you're lighting up the buildings with your picks. So it's a pretty straightforward game, but it's a pretty affordable game, and has enough going on that again, a lot of these lower bet games also tend to be lower volatility, which helps in terms of keeping your bankroll going. So a lot of people are betting lower so they can keep playing, and these games are designed to do that to some degree.
Yeah, this one I play a lot, but like I said, it's at the quarter, because one of the casinos near me that I don't play at super often, but when they give out free play, you can't cash it on video poker. You got to do it on slots. So
yeah,
that's my go-to slot machine to pick up my free play on when I'm there. I usually play it through once, get it into real money, and then go over to video poker. But I still have quite a bit of play on that. That's a great machine. Now the next is the most probably the most one that you can see the most or hear the most, I should say, from anywhere in the casino is the original Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Yes. I love that. I love that noise. You either love it or you hate it. There's no in the middle.
Right. Well, the thing is that there's so many Buffalo games out there that it's easy to forget about the original just because there's so many flashy, shiny new ones. But the thing about the original one is that, first of all, it's a 40-cent bet. So it's a nice, accessible bet. But it has those stacked Buffaloes that can come out at just the right time. And because it's the original, it doesn't have all of these added on features that cost you extra money. So like the example that I give is Buffalo Gold is Buffalo with a couple of extra features. You have to pay 60 credits for those extra features versus 40 on the original. And then Buffalo Gold Revolution adds even more. And now you're at 75 credits versus 40. Those Buffaloes pay the same, regardless of which one of those three you're playing. You just have the ability to upgrade them more and get more of them, right? But like the 40-cent one, there's still so much potential there. I sit down and play that, and I'm always reminded at some point during playing how much those Buffaloes pay and how much you can get out of the machine, because they can come out enough with the 40-cent bets because you have more time to make them happen with your bankroll. And so, the stacked Buffalo are good. The re-triggering with the 2 coins once you get into the bonus.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
All that good stuff still happens on the original machines. All the things you take for granted on these newer ones are still available to you at that 40-cent bet. And so it's just for me, when I see the really old Buffalo machine sitting there, I jump on them. I usually give it some play, and I usually have a good time playing them. So
yeah, and like you were just saying, this sort of goes back to the rule of thumb I gave earlier, which is the newer the machine, the more expensive it's going to cost you. So this is another one where you got to look for the older version. And that is a great game. Like that's still, I think, one of my favorite bonus rounds ever is just when you get the 3 coins on Buffalo, because then you get 2 coins fairly often, so it re-triggered, and you only need 2 to re-trigger it once you're in the bonus round. So that's just, I love that bonus round. That's like the classic free spins bonus, and it's just so much fun.
Really is.
Now, next is Cleopatra, and this is another one that there's a million different versions of, and I assume now we're going to be talking about the original version again.
We are. So it's a 20-line game. If you find it in pennies, which sometimes can be difficult, it's a 20-cent game. Cleopatra 2, because it was very similar in blueprint to the original, is the same. So you also have that 20-cent opportunity if you find it in pennies. So either of those work. But many times those older games have, again, a choice of lines. So you could do like 9 lines at a higher bet, right? You could do like ×5 and it's a 45-cent bet. So you have some control, some options on that one, which I like compared to some of the others. So if you're sort of like to play around with your bets, you do have that opportunity, especially if you find the older cabinets with the lines and the line bets. But even at 20 lines, it's still very accessible. And so the nice thing about those is that as a popular game, it tends to be very easy to find in some form. You just got to find it in pennies or maybe nickels for $1 if you want 29s at a nickel. But the game is popular, so it tends to stake around on casino floors.
And now the next one is a game I am not a fan of, and that is Dancing Drums.
Right. So in the last video, we spoke about one aspect of Dancing Drums that's a little bit interesting, which is the ability to bet down on your gold symbol count, right? So you have 5 gold symbols to be accessible for all the gold symbols and all the progressives. But if you bet down to 1 gold symbol, for instance, you're sort of playing a different game where now you're rooting for coins. And so you could do 1 gold symbol, say ×6, and that's 48 cents a spin. And you'll get 50x, 100x line hits on these gold coins, and suddenly you're winning $24 and $48 just lining up coins, right? So it's just a different type of game to play. But even if you want to play all of the progressives, it's still under $1 at that 88 cents. If you don't want to chase the grand, you could knock it down to 68 cents and go try to play for the major. So there's still some accessibility at sub $1 and a few different choices for players, which is something that I like. And specifically, I chose Dancing Drums because I don't feel that sometimes that the trade-offs are as worth it on other games in these series, like on 5 Treasures or on Double Blessings. I think you're losing a little bit more there. But on Dancing Drums, I think it's more balanced.
On my vote on this one for sure goes to go down to one of the gold coins, or and get rid of those progressives, because that's the one the reason I hate that is it's always no matter what, once you get the bonus round, you're 99.9% of the time you're going to get the mini, and it's going to tease you. It's going to tease you with 2 out of 3. Yeah.
So like if the mini's built up, you could also do 2 gold symbols and just focus on the mini. So if you get that pot to close, you're going to win the mini automatically. I did that once when the mini was over $50 and there was a guy playing next to me. And sometimes people start picking and they take forever. And so they're staring at it. I don't know which one to pick. Folks, it's a progressive pick. Don't waste your time, because I can steal the mini from you while you're thinking. And that's exactly what I did to the poor guy. Fortunately, he won the minor, so he didn't lose out on a decent progressive. But like if you spend time picking, if someone else gets there first, they will take that out of your hands. And that's on Dancing Drums, Ultimate Firelink, a lot of these games. So keep that in mind.
The reason he's saying that is it is predetermined. It doesn't matter what you pick. The machine already knew what progressive it was going to give you the second that bonus round started.
It just doesn't award it until that third symbol is revealed. So if you're sitting there waiting, someone else could win it, and then you'll win $10 instead of whatever the number was.
Yeah. Oops. And that was why I said I hate that game, because it's predetermined, and then it always teases you with 2 out of 3 on the grand, 2 out of 3 on the major, and then wham, it gives you the mini.
I mean, I won't hate the game because one of my earliest progressive wins, I did win a $850 major on it, like early in the game's history. So I've got at least one under my belt on an 88-cent bet. So, that's probably made up for all those minis in some way.
Now, next one I'm not familiar with is Money Frog. Which one's that?
So Money Frog is another every game, another 30-cent bet, which is something that I really like. The thing that's interesting about this one is the way it handles the bonus round. So once you get into free spins, you can land reels of wilds that can then, if you land it again, it becomes a 2x wild, a 3x wild. And so it can quickly amplify the pay. So it's one of those ones with lower bets, but some real potential to pay out when the right situations occur. I've had some really good fun on a game like this. And this one's more volatile than some of the others that I've talked about. So it's definitely going to be a little bit tougher, but it's also got some real potential. And so if you're looking for something that's a lower bet, but has a little bit more oomph behind it, this is definitely a good example of that.
All right. I was actually just looking up one that I thought of. I can't remember if it was actually low or not, so I was going to bring that up in a second. The next one is Double Diamond, which is what we were talking about in the last video.
Yeah, so Double Diamond's your traditional three-reel slot machine. There's the pay table is among the most simple. There's not that many symbols. But if you find it in quarter denomination, it's a 75-cent bet. I've also seen 2-credit versions, which is only 50 cents. So that's pretty cool. But that's, a great example of a three-reel slot with some accessibility and a bet under $1. And, it's a lower volatility game. So I've frequently put $20 into this game and it just goes and goes and goes, right? So if you're looking to just have some fun and play for a while, this is a great example of one that's not too tough and can really make your money last. And those double wilds really can amplify the pays if you get the right situation and lock it up just right. So can still pay you pretty well.
And now next is the last one is quick spin supercharged sevens.
Yeah, so you've got a little familiarity with this one now that you've played a couple sessions as well on your channel. But this one, we talked about it as a good game for $1 to $2 a spin. I also think it's a great bet at its minimum bet of 50 cents, mainly because the bonus wheel comes out roughly every 55 to 60 times. So or spins on average. So that's a good sort of frequency to get a wheel. And then the bonus itself also comes out pretty frequently too. So you do just get a lot of activity on a game like that. The line hits are there, they're small. It's a very low volatility game. But again, as a game that's going to keep you active, I rarely bomb out fast on that game, and so it's just one that can be really fun at a lower bet too.
The only issue I have with that, which is my dad was in the last video with us and he brought it up, is that on the wheel it has the 2, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever the multipliers are, and it always looks like you're going to hit it. And I didn't realize until I guess my dad pointed it out to me that you need to get the extra. Like, what is it? You need, I think, 3 columns to get into the bonus round or something, and then you need
so 6 wheels gets you in. 7 adds a 2x multiplier. 8 adds a 3x multiplier, all the way up to 10 plus, which adds a 5x multiplier. So you just need more wheel symbols to appear on the trigger to get the higher multiplier.
Yeah, and I just feel like if you only get the 6, they shouldn't even show you the chance that you could have gotten a 2, 3, 4, or 5 times multiplier.
Yeah, I feel like they've started to fix that on some of the newer versions of it. I think some other people.
Yeah, we had spoken about that. Yeah, and that you had said that last time. Now, one game I wanted to add in because I don't know why, this is my favorite slot machine, and it's a little weird because it doesn't use pay lines. Are you familiar with Money Rain from Incredible Technologies?
That's a great low volatility game. Absolutely.
It's a low volatility game. I just looked it up. If it's penny, you can bet anywhere from 30 cents up to $3. So 30, 60, or 90. So you have 3 options to be under that $1 spin bet. And the way it works is it shows all of the president's faces that are on the dollars. It's got the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10. The 50, the 20, the 50, the 100, and then there's like 500 or something, whatever, a dollar bill that doesn't even exist anymore. So it's all the denominations of the dollars, and then I think you just need 5 symbols, 5 of the same symbols anywhere on the machine, and it pays you for whatever, it adds them all together, and then times your multiplier. So if you're betting 30 cents and you get 5 of the Abraham Lincolns that are worth 5 each, that's 25. It's very simple. It just adds it together. It's a cool one.
Yeah, so and the one caveat I'll put out there, because Money Rain is a series at this point. IT's done like a bunch of different versions. There are many versions that feature progressives, and when you do bet below the max, you do get a flat jackpot as opposed to the progressive. So you're best to try to look for versions that don't have that, which I believe the original does not. So that would allow you to avoid sort of shortchanging your payback, right? Because once you start missing out on the full progressives, you may be missing out on a portion of your payback. But if you find like a version that doesn't have that, it's just focused on that aspect of the game, then you're good.
And most importantly, my favorite thing about Money Rain is when you get into the bonus round, it has that great song that plays, the Money Rain song.
I feel like that's like the Buffalo sound. It's a love it or hate it.
Yes, I think it's so cheesy though that I love it. Like, I feel like you can't hate that one. It's just so great.
One of my local casinos put the Money Rain machines literally the next row over from video poker, and usually for video poker you want a little quiet, so that's definitely ruined my video poker experience once or twice. But I certainly can appreciate the song in the moment. Sure.
All right, Josh, thank you very much for joining us once again. If people want to learn more about you or your work, where can they do that?
My website is knowyourslots.com, where new content is posted daily. I also have social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Know Your Slots, all one word.
Thank you very much, Josh. We'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.